What on earth is that? It's a Journey into Comics Network production! All aboard!
I brought my pencil.
What do you wanna do with your life?
Walk on home, boy. Yeah.
Like anything gets the same like you did before. Make it ring, make it bleed, make it really.
What's up, Deuterinos, and welcome back to another episode of Rank 'Em All, the show where a couple of panelists, in this case 3, sit down and rank every single song on an album, which gives us our album ranks, and we work all the way down the discography to figure out which albums in a band's or artist's discographies are really top-notch or bottom barrel. Guys, I'm one of your rank masters, Brando, and joining me here today is, of course, the Podfather, Nate Phillips.
The muscles from Brussels, bro. I am here. I am feeling good. We are in the house. It is the sequel. Today we are sequeling.
Yeah.
And this is actually kind of a historic thing just in the show's history because we haven't had a direct sequel
Yeah.
to any musical album. Everything's kind of been its own journey. So this is going to be fun. But today, as always, Brando, we're not alone. The Grime Master, I don't know what to call him. We don't have a clever nickname for Joe yet. Joe is in the house. Welcome, my friend.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I've been called by many names. That's definitely a new one.
The Grime Master.
So
I do remember Good Times Grimes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So today, guys, we are, of course, discussing Van Halen 2 as we move along our journey into the
sequel.
Into the sequel. I mean, this is the first time, of course, it was self-titled or self-titled album. The album, it's just like Metallica. There was never a Metallica 2. It wasn't.
Right.
And guys, guess what? Down the line, there's going to be a Van Halen 3.
Oh, snap. It's really interesting,
Spoiler!
too, though,
Oh,
because they're not the first band to really do the whole idea of a sequel thing. And I think Zeppelin's kind of the first to really do the 1, 2, 3. They did up to 4 or 5.
I think 4. Was it 5?
It might be 4. 4 might be the last one. You might be right.
I'm
We're
not the
doing
biggest.
rank them all on Led Zeppelin right now. We're ranking fucking Van Halen. So that's what we're doing today. And guys, I don't know about you, but this was definitely an interesting. That's the word I'll use. Interesting.
That's a good
listen
word.
through, to say the least.
I'm glad you
made
said
me
it.
remember some songs that I didn't know or remember were Van Halen songs. It also made me recognize that maybe they're not as good as people think they are.
All right, so I'm glad you said it before I did.
Yeah,
Because,
I'll take the heat on this one. It's fine.
all
They
right.
can kill me in the comments. It's cool.
So biting is not nice. I don't know if you guys heard that, but my wife said biting is not nice. And we were definitely bitten by this album.
Parent them all.
There we go. Yep.
Man, I don't want to be mean, and please don't. And well, no, and like I'm definitely serious, because my first listen to this album wasn't enjoyable.
No.
Since listening to it the first time, a few songs have risen in rank, but not by much. In fact, I do believe, Joe, one of the few things I said to you were there were songs I heard on this early on that got a higher ranking by the time I finished the album.
Okay. Yeah.
Because in comparison to the rest of the album, they are far superior. Now, let's lay the groundwork here, because I don't want to come in and just lay down a bunch of shade and say that we're all just going to shit on this album. That may or may not be the case. We haven't got to the ranks yet.
Right.
With Metallica, Nate and I are very comfortable and familiar with that discography, and it was more about being critical and getting past our own biases to try and look at the discography past our lens of being fanboys, essentially. Neither one of us, and maybe not even you, Joe, are necessarily Van Halen fanboys. This was something that we each wanted to do in honor of Eddie, because he's a great guitar player, and there are some really great songs from Van Halen. They have some legendary songs and licks. That this is a classic band that has inspired so many other artists and guitarists and bands.
And then also you've got people who, want the ultimate question settled. who is better?
Mhm.
Van Halen, Van Hagar.
Sure.
Where do they stack up? That helped narrate our decision to get to this point.
Mhm.
Not to say that we necessarily knew what that was entailing when we made this decision.
No, when we did
Right.
the first album, I think all of us were a little bit surprised by how kind of like up and down it was. There was some cool surprises on that we all liked, and but at the end of it, here we are to the second album here, and Nate, I read an interview with Alex Van Halen recently, talking about. First, I mean, the crux of the interview was talking about how the music industry is changed completely, but which it has. But he was talking about how the band was almost two different bands, but the band at its crux didn't change. It's like they were Zeppelin, they were AC/DC, they were hard rock, and Sammy Hagar was the rocker frontman. But with Dave, he was vaudeville. And I'm like, my
Showman.
God, that is the
Through and
best
through.
way to describe David Lee Roth. Vaudeville. He is extra. He is over the top. He is scatty. He doesn't do the conventional vocals. And when it works, it's magic. When it doesn't work, it doesn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. And I'm not sure if this album's going to reach an acquittal from us. However,
okay, like OJ, let's cut to the chase here.
oh, wow.
Oh,
No,
Oh.
I wanted to preface that because also think about it. I need to get the info up on here. That way we can go through the writing credits, which there's a couple covers, or at least one on here. That way we can give proper, due credit. But this album came out literally like a year after the first one.
One calendar year, yep.
And think about that. Imagine if Metallica released an album every year.
Well, imagine what it's like when Call of Duty releases a game every year.
Eventually, so think about, so the songwriting process and album cycles have gotten longer over the course of years for most bands. And they don't have to be like Chinese democracy long, but what I'm talking about is like,
oh.
when a band takes a couple years to write and release a record, typically they're finding the songs that work best. They're cutting through the crap and fine-tuning these songs to make them really good. In this case, and which was also the case for the majority of the 70s, how many bands released a cavalcade of albums and you go, wow, cool, a Deep Purple album, and you pick it up and you know none of the songs.
Mm-hmm.
Even me, I like Deep Purple. I'm not a mega fan. I don't know all the songs, but I know nothing. Think about why an album like Creedence Clearwater Revival's Greatest Hits is the one to own, because all of those greatest hits are spread out off like 5 or 6 records, and you pick up the back of that record and it has one of those songs on it. The rest of them are songs you're like, I haven't heard any of these. These bands would write, record, tour, write, record, tour, in and out, one a year, because that was the quick cycle. They needed new songs and they needed them now. That doesn't mean that they necessarily all got the love that they needed to make these songs as good as they could. I'm not trying to give an excuse here. I'm just trying to compare and contrast different bands, different eras, different styles. And you can definitely see at some point with this band entered like they got signed and they got out there in the middle of that era. And when you have Van Halen 78, Van Halen II 79, Women and Children First 80, Fair
Warning,
Fair
81.
Warning 81, 82 is Diver Down, and then there's a 2-year gap between 1984.
And that album, we'll talk about it.
Well,
but
we're gonna get there, but then there's further gaps in between the albums, and we're gonna see if that theory or that mindset maybe can hold true, at least in Van Halen's case, because we all just said this was an interesting one to listen to coming in, and So we're also really interested to hear what you guys have to say. Reach out to us on social medias at Rank 'em All on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. But guys, this album came out in March 23rd, on March 23rd, 1979. Clocks in at 31 minutes and 36 seconds. And there were a couple songs here that were already in existence and demoed by Gene Simmons, like off their very first demo. And then also again in 77 with Ted Templeman, including a version of Beautiful Girls, then known as Bring On the Girls, and then Somebody Get Me a Doctor. So some of these songs were in existence kind of when they were already working on the first album, but didn't make the cut for whatever reason. And all the songs here are written by Eddie, Alex, Michael, and David, except where noted. And that's the first song. The first song is the cover of the album. And also, Nate, you mentioned in the last episode about covers and how maybe some of their early portion was kind of framed off of like other people's songs. If you go back into history, especially in that era, that's what the record label wanted. They wanted covers. Look at how many other big bands did covers, simply because you go back and you take a song like the first track here, You're No Good, and it's an older 60s song that has been reworked. It was a hit then, and now they rock it up, and now it's a new hit. And those were considered safer bets at the time. Now and think about how Metallica started. They just covered stuff nobody heard of, made it their own, and basically stole other people's music to make their own set list more fuller. For Van Halen, they were a party band. And the whole deal was back then, going to a show, people didn't want to hear a bunch of new stuff. They wanted to dance. That is a direct quote from Michael Anthony right there. He said they wanted to dance. They wanted to hear songs they knew. They didn't care about our shit. So when it came time for them to do their own songs, a lot of these songs, and I've noticed kind of a trend here, they're short, they're sweet, they're to the point, and they got energy. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be their most verbose, great songs ever. It's just something I've been noticing and trying to dissect in this early era. Maybe because when I got to this album, I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit of like, man, what is going on here? You know, and then diving into what you said about the covers. And of course, there's going to be more covers to come. But the first song, You're No Good, written by Clint Ballard Jr. And it was done by
E.D. Warwick.
Yeah.
1963.
Yeah, so literally 15 years prior, this song was a hit. Now they're doing it again. This wasn't a single, I don't think. No. So they recorded they recorded the cover, and it wasn't even when I saw the title and the song started playing, I'm like, is this really that one song? Yep, it's that song.
Yeah.
Okay. So much like the first album, we do have a cover, but it's also very much a different start. Whereas the first album comes in with Running with the Devil, this one's very subdued, different, coming in a bit slower. And I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about it. I'm going to start with Nate because I see his face. Lay it on me.
So, first of all, naivete, Nate, because I had no idea this was a cover. No fucking clue. Now that I know it's a cover, I'm probably going to change my score even lower than what it is, honestly. Because I utterly hated this song. I thought it was complete dog shit. And I mean, the only thing, in my opinion, that saved it was the really nice guitar work by Eddie in some of the soloing sections, where he's kind of cutting loose, and you're just like, oh, there's Eddie still being Eddie doing his thing. Like, great. But, you know, you can put a nice fancy diamond studded bow on a turd and it's still a turd. So that's really what I think about this song. I think it is just not, and Brandon really nailed my sentiment on the head. This is not Running with the Devil. This is not, to use a wrestling phrase, this is not, you know, super kicking him in the chin. You know, instead, this is just like, you know, like a fucking slap to the face or a schoolboy roll up. Like, it's something quick to just get the job done, but it's nothing special. And I think there are plenty, and you might not hear me say this the next time we get together, but there are plenty of songs on this album that I think would have made for much better opening tracks. That when I was listening to them, was like, why don't you lead with that, you dumb sons of bitches? Because I'm hooked. I'm hooked and in a different headspace. And honestly, this is the Nick Maxon thing from the first series of Rank when we were doing Metallica, talking about the high from one song leading you into the next song to bump that rating. That also stands true for the opening song on the album. If that first song doesn't catch me, I'm going to have a hard time until you catch me enjoying anything until that moment. So if you have 3 or 4 songs before a song that I really enjoy, your album ultimately is going to suffer just because you didn't, lead with your best foot forward. And I don't know what you guys thought about the song. I'm interested in knowing kind of the flip side, for you guys, because it could be the tale of two cities. But for me, the song's title is in fact how I feel about the album as a whole, kind of, and this song too. You're no good. It's just, you're no good. You're no good, baby. You're no good. Damn.
All right, Joe, lay it on.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page as Nate. I knew this was a cover. I mean, this has been covered, like, we said originally what Dee Warwick, but I told you the other day that it was initially, people know it as more, I think, of Linda Ronstadt doing it.
Yeah.
But it's been covered, like, what do I got? It was covered by Ike and Tina. It was covered by Elvis Costello, Reba, Michael Bolton. I mean, the list goes on and on and on how many times this song's been done. But
it's kind of an old standard is what you're getting at.
Right, it is. But I think, they all have their own style. But, like, when they took it and did their Van Halen's own style, I'm the same page as Nate. I didn't dig it. It's just the same thing as do not lead with that. There are definitely better songs that could have started this album with. And you have the same feeling like, oh my God, is this how the whole album is going to be? Just from the get-go, I was not into it, man. Just another cover. And the funny thing is, I saw the title, and I knew the original song, but I'm thinking it's going to be maybe an original, though. I didn't think it was going to be an actual cover, and because I don't recall hearing them do the song before. But then I hear the lyrics, and I'm like, no, holy crap, that is a cover. I'm really disappointed with this one. Definitely not. Didn't knock it out of the park for me with this one at all.
I have heard this song a lot, just like Joe had said. I've heard several different versions of this song. And so, as I said, I originally saw the name and went, oh, is this that? Yep, okay, it's that song. It's very middle of the road for me. Nothing stands out about this as being anything significant. I don't think that it's bad. In fact, I like the slow groove of it. It's a bit different than the other versions of the song that you've heard. So knowing the fact that I've heard this song so much, and I know I've heard Reba sing it, but like I like that about it. But it was also, there's a couple of different times on this album, and that is I'm like, ooh, okay, oh, what happened? And that's kind of here too. It's very middle of the road for me. It's not starting off the album great. I gave it a 5. What about you, Nate?
Ultimately, I'm not going to change my rank because, even though it is a cover, I was naive to it. So this is just my genuine gut reaction rating. I gave it a 4.75. So I'm right there in the zone with you.
What about you, Joe?
Same neighborhood as you guys. I got 4.5.
4.5. All right.
Wasn't thrilled. Just kind of meh.
Now, I don't know about you guys. Do you think this next song should have started the album?
Yes. This is actually what should have led their album, for sure.
Because the next song is definitely a single. It was the first single released in May of '79, Dance the Night Away. So this song gets some points for, and I keep trying to come back to a good way to vocalize it. It's what I called about when it meshes well. When what the band is doing with what Dave is doing meshes well. And I feel like when it does, you feel it. It's instant. And honestly, and I don't know if this is going to be the same going forward with all the other albums, I kind of felt it on the previous album too. Those were the best songs instantly. And it's usually the best songs where they mesh well so far, with a couple of exceptions, have been the singles.
Yep.
And I hope that's not completely the absolute Roth era, because I want to be surprised like I was on the last album with Little Dreamer and Ice Cream Man, those songs that we said, like, man, these are really interesting and cool songs that we had never had really taken the time to listen to, and wow, this is some really cool stuff here. But with Dance the Night Away, for me, it doesn't quite hit that tier. It's almost like, hey, you know that awesomeness that Van Halen is? This is close. But
it's like dollar store Van Halen.
I mean, maybe not even that bad. Maybe not even that bad. I'm just saying that, like, I don't think it's bad, but I also don't think it's like top tier. Like if you're gonna give S, A, B, C, D, whatever. Man, this is somewhere between the C and the B era. It's like it maybe on the right day and the right mood it could bump up to B, but I think it's the C. It's listenable. It's catchy. It's got the good catchy group vocals, and again, it's more subdued on this song compared to compared to what was on the first album, and maybe what's even to come here. But I don't know. We'll start with Joe this time, going back around. You got anything to add to this one?
I mean, I've heard this one several times,
Sure.
but this was usually on the very best of on volume one. This was always the song I would skip. There was not often where I would listen to that album from start to finish without skipping this song. I've never been a big fan of it. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a terrible song. It's not my thing. I just really don't dig it.
What about you, Nate?
Dance the Night Away, obviously a song, it's in the zeitgeist of history because it was a single. You hear it in various movies and other places and things like that. But right along the same lines as you guys, it didn't captivate me. I was just like, oh yeah, I know this song, and it was just like on, and V and I are having a conversation while it's on, and we're just kind of shooting the shit and whatever. And then I noticed something really weird, and it wasn't intentional, but I noticed that my ear, over everything else in the song that was happening, there's only one part that I can remember thoroughly enjoying, and it's not the vocals of the chorus. There is an acoustic guitar picking individual notes out that is in the chorus that's really kind of under the mix. It's really and I fucking love it. Like it's the one thing that draws me back to the song. So I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, man, I want to give this song like a decent rating because it is memorable. It's not quite to me on, like running with the devil, or ain't talking about love level, or obviously Eruption for that matter. So my rating is kind of reflected on, I like part of this song quite a bit. The rest is just okay, because what did I notice the most about this song? Either one of you right now, sing me a verse. Any part of the verse.
No, you can't.
Nah.
You don't even know it, because even though we've heard the song a million times, there's only one part that sticks out. Dance the night away. Like that. Okay, it's cool. Like, it's great, man. And that's where my rating kind of locks in. So if we're ready for that, I'll throw it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.
Me too. 7 for me as well. What about you, Joe?
I gave it a 4.
4. Even lower.
Yeah.
So the next song, Somebody Get Me a Doctor, was the second single. However, when I hover my my finger over it. The cover is in Japanese, so maybe not all of these singles are necessarily what they sent to radio stations. They could be. Yeah. It even says released in Japan. So
International singles.
It was an international single. But Somebody Get Me a Doctor, I wrote, good open riff.
Yes.
When this song started, I was like, ooh, what is this? From there, it kind of falters a bit and goes into it being all right. It's almost kind of like the theme of this, and I don't like doing this, but when we rank them all from any band, we're gonna get to something that we collectively or individually just don't like, and that's never fun. That's never ever fun to just sit back and go, wow, these guys hate this. I don't hate Van Halen. I really like Van Halen, but I really feel like mediocrity is kind of in this record, because I feel like with this song and another few going forward, there's aspects here that are like, man, this is really good, and my head's bopping, but there's really nothing that takes it to the next level for me.
Yeah.
Whether that's just them being the party band and having a lot of energy, nothing gravitates me. A lot of the vocals here are just average. Some of the music is above average, but in a collective bargain, it's not hitting the mark for me. Somebody Get Me a Doctor does not hit the mark for me. What about you, Nate?
Biggest issue with Somebody Get Me a Doctor is Dave's squeal vocals. I become not a fan on this album of that tool in his toolbox, because unfortunately, when you're trying to hammer a nail into the wall, you hammer until the nail is sticking out a little bit. And for some reason with this tool, he just has hit that wall until there's not even a fucking wall left, man. I mean, he's just swinging in air at this point. You know, it's like, come on, Dave, let up a little bit. Give us something other than that, you know, that little fucking Dr. Roxo thing that you do or whatever the shit, you know, it's not doing it for me. And that was what drew me away, because again, Brando nails it. The opening riff is dope. And I'm like, yeah, what is this? Are you going to hook me? Third song in, something that I'm actually going to sing. Nope. Just nope. Okay. This is what we're doing now. Somebody get you a doctor, huh? That's, you know what I think? And this is honest to God's truth. I do believe that they do suffer from the year-to-year album thing. And if they would have just released one album in 79 that was a mixture of everything good on Van Halen 1 and everything good for Van Halen 2 and got rid of the fat, they would have had maybe one of the most classic albums of all time, because there are gems across both.
Sure. That is not an unfair assessment.
Yeah.
All right, Joe.
So yeah, Somebody Give Me a Doctor. Not a fan.
Joe, how much, like, what kind of doctor are we going to here? Foot doctor,
ear doctor,
ear, nose, throat, meets rabbit, meets rabbit out of hat. I mean, like,
well, like I'm on the same page with the whole Dave like squealing thing. It's almost kind of like, you know, that's like his signature. Almost like if you're listening to like Zakk Wylde, you hear his little squeal he does with the guitar. You know that's Zakk Wylde. That's what, you know. You hear that and like, oh, okay, duh. If you don't know what the song you listen to, like, it sounds like Zakk Wylde. And then, but Dave's squeal though, it's just one of those things. Like every damn song, you get kind of tired of hearing it. I was never a big fan of it. It's just okay, you know, he can hit that note, big deal. But as what you guys were saying about that main riff, the opening riff, I really liked it. But this whole song, it didn't seem Van Halen-esque to me. A lot of parts to me, like I was looking at this, it looked like it sounded like a mixture of like an AC/DC, ZZ Top kind of feel.
That's a great assessment, because they would cover ZZ Top a lot.
Right.
So
right. And it was, you know, it was still good, but it wasn't, you know, I'm not a fan of it. Just like most of the, was the third song? Yeah.
Yeah, third song in here.
Just isn't a great starter.
All right. I gave this song a 5. Yeah. So, who Nate? What was yours?
I gave it a 6.25. My friend.
6.25. See, I was teetering a little bit about 5.5, and I think
Solo was decent for me.
no. See, the solo was good. I just like you said, it's that vocal stuff, and it's harkening. But again, when it meshes, it's great. When it doesn't, and he's doing these other stuff, it's not necessarily pleasing to the ear. How about you, Joe? What'd you give?
4.5.
4.5. The next,
Wow, I rated that one higher than you guys by a lot.
you did. Yeah, by a little bit. But the next one, Bottoms Up. Not the Nickelback one. In fact, I would prefer that one to this one, honestly. Word up, baby. What's the word? I wrote. It's kind of a like rock and party song, just that really doesn't go anywhere for me.
Right.
And that's literally all I wrote. It's like nothing about this song really stuck out to me.
And I think that's kind of a
theme.
Well, it is a theme, Brando, but I was really ruminating on this album this morning when I was waking up, because I hadn't listened to the next one we're working on yet. I did that fresh today, so I've got like notes. Well, not really notes, but I digress. Anyways, and I was like, man, what is it about the Van Halen that I'm like not connecting with? You know, and I realized that it's set and setting. I am not a heavy party person. Like, I'm not I might be a social butterfly, and I do enjoy, hanging out with people and getting a group of my friends together. But I am not one to go to a rocking loud club with 400 other sweaty ass pre-COVID times, obviously, sweaty ass motherfuckers just to jam out or whatever to an okay band. And when I realized that, it was like, oh, the party aspect of them and the fact they're churning out every song is talking about booze or girls or trying to get something together happen in that setting. That's what I don't connect with, and that's why these ratings are substantially lower as opposed to the Metallica stuff, which can be universally taken in as something that you can understand on your own, I guess, in a different manner.
Would you think that, and maybe I'm out of step here with this comparison, if I threw a party and there were like 20 people in my house, we were just all talking, schmoozing, there's a bunch of different conversations, people are just hanging out, and this album is on in the background, not necessarily that you're paying attention to it and dissecting it like we are today, do you think that this is a decent background party album?
You mean, did they make great background noise?
I don't mean it in a bad way. What I'm saying is because it's got beat. It's got a lot of songs here, other than the first couple, have like a little bit of this, and you can kind of like bop your head to it. Maybe not. Maybe maybe you're singing along to the first couple songs, and then when he's singing "Somebody Give Me a Doctor," then he does it over and over again. Well, you can kind of hook onto that. I don't know. Just an observation that I made while you were making your observation.
You Incepta observed me.
I did.
I love that. No, I think you're right. And actually, to add on to that a little bit, when they do something catchy or kitschy within their songs, that's great for a party, because then someone's like, man, do you remember that song? No, I can't fucking think of it. Well, they had that one cool part, and you're looking through the whole album for that 20-second riff. It was dope as shit. And Somebody Call Me a Doctor, or Bottoms Up, as it were. Yeah. They're striking out on this one with me, guys. I'm not trying to be overly critical. Again, another thing too, you have great working parts, but just because your parts work great doesn't necessarily mean the car runs smoothly, because you got Alex and Eddie who are just fucking machines. Even Michael Anthony in this album we're talking about today, shines, has amazing moments where the bass is just killing it. You're like, holy fuck, he's playing cool shit that's actually just the same as kind of what Eddie's doing, but just a slight variation. And now I understand. Oh, it's all built on that. It's all built on Eddie. Eddie is the brainchild. Eddie is the musical drive. And then Alex adds the rhythm. And Alex gets crazy and fearless. But that doesn't necessarily always mesh well with the theatrics of vaudeville. Back to your first thought, full circle, here we are. Because when it does mesh well, it's brilliance. But when it doesn't, it's very noticeable.
How about you, Joe? Bottoms up.
The thing I wanted to mention, I don't know if it was you or Nate, somebody at the last album brought up Spinal Tap. I'm not gonna lie. This actually had like a really big Spinal Tap feel to it for me. Like the solo, I literally picture Nigel on his back when they can't stand him up, and then he's like still playing the solo the whole time, and he gets up after he's done finishing the solo, and he's like, yeah, and then I picture and then the bass, I can literally picture Derek Smalls' face when he's like in the camera and making those like kiss, like that, like the and that's like all this was to me was just a big Spinal Tap mess.
Where do you think Spinal Tap got their ideas from? Damn it,
Exactly.
They are probably they were ranking them all first, guys.
Oh,
yeah.
Passing a doobie to each other. Michael McKean hits it and he looks, he's like, you guys, Van Halen writes some weird shit. And that's the story. The end. Boom. The story tells itself. And then you're there. And then they start just coming up with a ridiculous shit like the, hello Cleveland, we're not in Cleveland. And we're going to turn this hallway and then go this hallway and then go to that hallway and then back to this hallway.
All right. I gave this a 4.5 for bottoms up.
I gave it a 5.5. I'm not too far behind you.
Ooh.
Yeah. Actually, I just made you give it 55.5.
No, I can't drive 55 later.
That's
we
good.
go.
That's good. All right. What about you, Joe?
3.
Don't worry, Nate. It got bumped back
Joe
down.
was like, fuck this song.
Speaking of the next song, Out of Love Again. This is on the B side of the first single. And I wrote down vocals?
Question mark.
Yep. Disjointed. What's going on? That's all I have to say. This song is 2 minutes and 51 seconds of what?
What for what?
I mean, the reason why I guess I stuck on this album so much is I'm wondering what about it is making me not like this. Am I in the wrong here? And I don't think that I am. I it's so weird for me to not like something. Like I can usually find the positive something there, and as we've already said, there's positives laced within here. Good energy, good riff here. These awesome bass fills that Michael does that stand out. It's completely different than kind of what the first album was, where he was just very much in the pocket. So like he's kind of venturing out of his comfort zone a little bit here, or at least was his comfort zone. But no, I got nothing else to say, and I'm going to pass the baton to Joe.
I was actually, I think I'd mentioned to you a while back that there was one song on this album that I was waiting to get to, and I was actually so glad it was on the second album. This is that song. I've heard this song for years. I love this song. I was actually originally told about this by one of our other drum instructors, Brad Harner at the music store, mainly because I feel like this is the first song off the first two albums that Alex was like just set loose. Especially like towards the middle of the song, like his drumming, it sounds like it just kind of goes off the rails, right?
Mhm.
And he does all this crap. I'm gonna say this probably multiple times. I've already said it multiple times that he's like seriously one of the most underrated drummers of all time. I've said it. I'll say it again. But as he's going off the rails in this song, he has that one itty bitty solo that's 2 hits. You know, it's the ride cymbal and the bass. That's it. Bing, boom, and then back into it. I fucking love that part, and it's like it's such a small part, but I feel like it adds a lot to the song.
I'm very glad that this is the song that you really like, because it adds a little bit more of conversation and differential opinion. Because if we were going down this thing, which each song Gus going, makes this a very uninteresting podcast to listen to, and I'm very glad that you liked it, even though I didn't find that. I don't know. I did hear the drums, and they were really good. I guess for me, it was just the package. It was just the package and the vocals. You being a drummer, that stuff sticks out to you way more than it does to me. To me, it's a lot more of what Dave is doing that is in the forefront. And maybe that's why. Maybe that's a good reason why this song really doesn't hit home for me. But do you have anything else?
No, I mean, just like as soon as that solo is over, he just goes, back into that just psychotic crap all over the kit. Eddie comes in with this sick guitar riff on top of it, and yeah, that song I thought it was amazing. It's one of my favorites. It's my favorite on the whole album.
How about you, Nate?
I wouldn't say it was my favorite on the whole album, but this is definitely a step up from some of the previous songs we've talked about. There are charming qualities to Out of Love Again across the board. You guys have kind of nailed, I mean, right in the jump, yeah, vocals, what the fuck is happening? Like, wait, what? And then it kicks in, you're like, okay, this is a cool jam. Like, I'm into it. Solo section's all right. Like, it doesn't have any one part that I'm, like, ultra critical of. But to that literal same token, there is no one part that I'm like gushing about. And oh my gosh, it was the best thing, because realistically, this song did not have that for me. Middle of the road is a good way to say it. I think that my score is probably a little bit more liberal than Brandon's, but I don't think it's going to be close to Joe's. I walked out here and gave Out of Love Again a 6.75.
What about you, Joe?
Boom. Gave it a 10.
Wow, Joe's first 10, I think, right? Or no, wait, Eruption was the first 10.
Eruption was first 10. He also gave Little Dreamer a 10.
Oh, okay.
I gave this song a 5. It's very middle of the road. There's some good stuff in it, but I was also just very like, what is going on here? And I kind of felt the same way about the next song. The next song is Light Up the Sky, and it's the first track on the side 2. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say I don't have much to say. I really don't have much. I have more to say about the rest of the songs on the album. So, and Nate, if you have anything to cover up for me here, I don't have much to say about Light Up the Sky. It's very middle of the road for me.
Well, this is obviously on my naive first listen through, so memory is not the best, but I do remember really liking this song. Like, I do remember it stuck out as like, oh, this is a little bit different. Like, it's different, kind of catchy. Solo's nice. It's got some cool acoustic bits in it that are really fun. Like, I can't hate on this song. And again, reflecting that in my score, I think this is a better song on the album than, again, it's one of those that I'm willing to go and give a second listen to. Like, I wouldn't listen to this whole album again. Fuck that. but I would pick a couple of these to go back and like reevaluate to give an even deeper opinion, and actually to even speak on that a little bit. Feel Your Love Tonight from the first album. I was a big hater of that, and kind of like it a little bit more now in retrospect because I gave it another chance.
Yeah.
And it is, not every song is going to get that for me, but I do think that Light Up the Sky on this album is that song that deserves a second listen to for you guys who maybe don't quite get it. It is pretty good.
The only note that I wrote was good open. Good open, because after that it kind of fell off for me. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, very little I could say. I don't hate it, don't love it, don't remember much about it. I mean, that's really all I can say about it too.
All right, then hit me with your rank, Joe.
I gave it a 5.
5. Me too. Middle of the road. How about you, Nate?
I gave her a 7.25. I do think there's some real charming qualities to this tune.
Awesome. The next track is an instrumental, Spanish Fly, and is my favorite song on the album. All I got to say is he finger tapped on an acoustic guitar.
Yes. Oh my God.
This is
and at
acoustic.
that time, groundbreaking.
This is Acoustic Eruption.
Yes.
He is doing some awesome flamenco style of playing here, and just great stuff.
Actually, I'm glad you said Eruption on acoustic guitar, Brando, because he actually snuck an Eruption riff into the Spanish Fly.
Yeah.
Cleverly as fuck. Like he is being super meta and self-referential and all that. But like, honestly, you nailed it. This song is dope. It immediately catches your attention. I was like, whoa, what is this going on? I didn't know. Again, you look at the track listing, you don't know what's going on. So I saw it. I heard the acoustic thing at first. I was like, this is a dope intro. And then I realized, oh, there's only like 42 more seconds. So it's not an intro. It's just him jamming. Fucking cool. Now I can really get behind it. I genuinely loved it. Mm-hmm. He is a guitar legend who just, again, trailblazer. He is just creating his own path in a land full of, and again, it's really weird because you got this legendary superstar, like next level guitarist, and we are talking about a lot, no offense, a lot of mediocre music on this album, which again could also be from the record label pressuring them to do another album that quick, the record label telling them, no, we don't want you to wait to release, your best stuff, just put shit out. There's a lot of reasons that mediocrity can be acceptable in the music industry that doesn't directly fall just on the musicians and what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, their ideas are still their ideas and their product is still their product, but the execution and the release of those ideas sometimes come under the gun and other reasons. So we got to remember that. But yeah, Spanish Fly is a jam. Joe, thoughts?
Right with you guys. Eruption acoustic version, pretty much. I'm actually surprised I'd never heard this. I'm like, how have I not heard this up to this point? Mm-hmm. I didn't have much to say about it because I actually could not find the words to to describe it. It's just freaking fantastic. It's amazing. Like, just trying to mentally wrap my head around finger tapping on the acoustic and getting that sound out of it. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
I can see somebody doing it, but then to be able to hear it perfectly, I mean, damn. That's all I could think.
They either had him amped up or they had multiple mics on that acoustic guitar to pick it up from multiple angles so they could blend. I thought about it. I thought about this exact same question. Like, how did you get because it sounds clean.
Yeah.
I mean, clean. Not just as playing. I'm talking the quality of sound sounds clean. So yeah, interesting. Very interesting.
So I saw an interview today with Steve Vai talking about Eddie. This was an ultimate guitar, and he said that I think we need to reevaluate exactly what defines a genius, because a lot of people think genius is just intellectual and everything, and Eddie was surely not an intellectual. He was just a very normal guy, which is great. What a genius can be is ignorance to your own exceptional abilities. And he's like, the thing with Eddie is that his kind of stuff that he would do on the guitar came so natural and easy to him that he was ignorant to the fact that it was challenging. He would set up his
To
own
everyone else.
Yeah, well, he would set up his own challenges to himself and nail it and be able to pull it off. Something like this, to where, how does he get that sound? It's easier for him in some way for him to do that. Us three are going to sit here for hours trying to go, how, and not get anywhere close to that. But for him, he picks it up and just, and he's like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And he's just going to laugh about it and smirk and think that's why he does all the really weird and strange things that he does with his guitar. He learns how to do weird shit. And it's very unique. And it almost so just like Dave, like on vocals, but a little bit more interesting, if that makes any sense. I gave this, I gave it an 8. It is my favorite by far. How about Joe?
9.5.
9.5.
9.5.
And Nate?
Let me get that average back to average here. 8.25.
0.25. We're kind of in the same echelon here. The next song, DOA. Did I write anything on this one, or was it? No, it's on the next one. This one again was kind of another straight up rock song, and not that that's anything bad, but it did to me not like I almost have to dive into it too deep to really find the points that are are gonna stand out a little bit. I felt like this is very, again, middle of the road for them. How about you, Nate?
DOA, unmemorable. There's literally, as I sit here, not a thing negative or positive that I could say about it, because I don't recall any of it at all. And maybe I'm just still shocked and baffled at the Spanish Fly that I've just heard in my ear holes, but this just left me unimpressed. It's like, your girlfriend putting on a business suit after you come just doesn't make sense. Keep your clothes off. She's getting all dressed up and you're all laying there all, befuddled and beside yourself. I'm just saying, Spanish Fly is like the climax, and then you're sitting there and you still maybe want to see some titties, but instead she's putting everything up. Hey, they're a party band.
They're a party band. How about you, Joe? You got anything to say about DOA?
Very uninspiring. I don't remember much about it. The only thing I have written down is that I didn't feel like Dave's vocals even matched the song. I'm guessing I can't remember. I'm guessing rhythmically or just however the song flowed. I just didn't feel like it just was a good fit. I didn't like it at all.
I liked it a skosh better than some of the other middle of the road. I gave it a 5.5. Just a skosh.
Wow.
5.5.
Don't break your rating bank there with a 5.5.
All right, then what's your rating there, Nate?
Oh, fuck. 6.25.
Oh, come on. Okay. See, I feel like I'm being the most harsh one, even though Joe's given the lowest score. How about you, Joe? Is this going lower? Oh, okay, so now he's giving the lowest score. Even though he broke his own record here.
What was that score?
He gave it a 2.
Oh, shit. Didn't he give a song on the first album a 0.1?
No, he gave it a 1.1 because I wouldn't allow it, kind of. It's like, it's got to at least get a 1 because he was going to give it a 0.1. I believe that was that was On Fire.
Yeah, maybe.
I do believe that was the one that you really didn't like. The next song, Women in Love, I wrote really interesting, clean, open picking here. It's a bit of a separate or a different step here, and honestly, the next 2 songs are like that for me. Whereas in general here, they carry the same averageness of the record. It's a bit of a step up from that, but not tremendously. We're not getting into truly good Van Halen territory here, but this is a step closer. So I do believe that kind of reflects in my rating for me personally. But Joe, do you have anything to say about Women in Love? And are they in love with you?
Well, they're not in love with this song. That's for sure. I really didn't have anything to say about this, man. It's just another one of those that it didn't stick out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, man. I got nothing.
Nate, do you have something?
Brando, you really nailed it because the clean intro is really different. And you're like, oh wow, like okay, they're trying something new, but then they just slam back into Van Halen, and you're just like, okay, they're doing their thing, okay, and then the song is over.
Well, actually, the thing is that the intro that kind of eats up a little bit of time, and it's like the second longest song on the album. But it is over before you know it.
46 seconds,
Yeah.
and then like the rest of the song's another 4 minutes. But that's a fifth of the whole song is the intro.
Yeah.
So, I dug this song a little bit more than some of the other jargon that happened on this album that befuddled me and left me.
I like how you
confused.
called it jargon.
It is jargon, man. It's unfinished jargon. If we were doing random episode titles, the episode would be called Unfinished Jargon, because that's what Van Halen 2 is to me, a lot of great ideas that didn't get polished to the, diamond stage. They just left them kind of coldly. So I will say Women in Love was decent, a fun track, something, again, worth listening to again, giving it a 7.5.
7.5 from Nate. I gave it a 6, and what did Joe give it?
5.
5. The last song, Beautiful Girls, I like the riff. It's like, and it's kind of in the same exact territory as the previous song, though. Like, in general. Like, it doesn't necessarily get into good Van Halen territory, but it's kind of on the way, and that's all I have to say about it.
Beautiful Girls. I'll go ahead and jump in there. This is one of those songs that is timeless in my mind. I've listened to it since I was a little kid. Here I am, ain't no man of the world. All I need is a beautiful girl. I like the verse too. I love that vocal cadence,
It's that vaudeville.
And yep, and let me also say that he knows how to vaudevilledly use that squeal in the song that makes it impactful. Yep. This is one time in the album where I'm like, oh shit, he pulls that out in a manner that makes sense and it adds flavor to the song. Because it's almost to me like he's grabbed their ass. Like that's.
Oh my God.
I just totally fucking broke Brando. That's on.
Oh, man.
I like the song. I think it's a great tune. It is quite possibly the best on the album. I will say you put this song, Dance the Night Away, Spanish Fly, and either Women in Love or Light Up the Sky on that first album and get rid of a few of those filler songs. And again, you have the most classic album. Eruption, Running with the Devil, and Beautiful Girls on the same album makes it a classic album. So, missed opportunities. You have outside influences, and I get all that. But I really love this jam. Joe, thoughts on Beautiful Girls?
I dig it. It's definitely one of the more recognizable songs they've done. The first time I initially listened to this album, ever, that was actually the only one I really knew off that album that I actually recognized by listening to it. I think the very first time I was a kid, I literally I don't know this one, skip. I don't know this one, skip. I don't know. Oh, that sounds familiar, and I would listen to that over, and it's just one of those I would listen to on repeat, especially the intro, with Eddie and Michael kind of have this question and answer thing with the guitar and bass going on, with that initial opening guitar riff, and then Mike follows, and then Mike
I thought that was
in.
really neat. That bass,
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what I was referring to earlier in general. But no, that definitely applies to this song. It's really musically eclectic. Where they're going with all the weird, neat little stuff that they do.
Right, and that's why it's one thing I've always loved about this song. I love this song. Great song.
Then hit me with that rank, Joe.
I gave it an 8.
An 8. How about you, Nate?
9.25.
5. I gave it a 6.5. Yeah.
All over the map today.
Well, folks, that is Van Halen 2. Van Halen 2 went on to sell 5.7 million records in the United States as of 2004.
5 times platinum, huh?
5 times platinum. But my album score was 5.75. Nate's was 6.87. And Joe's was 5.55. With an average master rank of 6.05.
Ouch.
Mm.
It's only up from here, fellas.
Well, you know
I'm
what?
shaking my head no, audio listeners, while I say
Listeners.
that.
Well, we will see. We will see as we get to the next episode. Women and Children First is next. Of course, I want to thank Nate and Joe for being here on the show, and thank each and every one of you guys for checking out this episode of Rank 'Em All as we make our way down the Van Halen discography. Van Halen 2 is in the books, and we're on the road to Women and Children First. For Nate, for Joe, I have been Brando, and check out Rank 'Em All on all of the different podcast platforms and YouTube and social medias, all those places. Just search Rank 'Em All. Until then, somebody get us a doctor, because we ain't done yet. Later on, guys.